Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, MA Couture Crafting. I have been working on a Disney quilt. I don't know, my quilt game this year is just not strong at all. 2020 is a wash. I don't even really want to count it. Like, I feel like we just need to put an asterisk by 2020. I haven't, like, the first year, which was 2019, I started quilting. I was turning out quilts like that. I probably did about 13, 14 quilts that year. I'm obsessed with quilting. I love it, but I haven't been able to turn out quilts in the same manner, and I feel funky about it. I feel like there's something missing. I'm just not comfortable. So then I decided to do 100 blocks in 100 days. Fail. That's not my gift. I need to stop telling you guys I'm gonna do 10 of this or I'm gonna do 100. That's not my gift. I need to accept that. It's not my gift. But it also slowed me down tremendously because this particular quilt calls me to have to pull different colors for every single block. And that is time consuming. And then I was just doing the most and doing hints and playing games. And then Instagram got funky. So people weren't allowed, they couldn't follow me because you couldn't find the recent posts. You had to kind of be following people. And I just wasn't getting the traction that I wanted, blah, blah, blah. That quilt just slowed me down. There was a quilt that I had started before that quilt, and I hadn't finished it, and that's not like me because the rule is you start a quilt, you finish a quilt, then you get to do another quilt. And I was off. And so this year I wanted to try to get some quilts that needed binding out, some quilts that I had made and completed out, and I still had them. And this Dresden quilt was another quilt that I had started but didn't finish. I was doing like a Dresden study at one point. You'll see that I've done a couple of quilts that all are Dresden-esque. And I'm like, shoot, I need to get rid of it. It was starting to irk me. It was starting to get on my nerves. So it is now at the quilters, and I just dropped it off like yesterday, the day before. That quilt will be finished today or tomorrow, and I can get that out of here before the end of the year and hopefully do my 25 blocks before the end of the year too. And I haven't shown you guys me making a quilt yet. I'm just kind of getting into this, showing you me and showing you my sewing adventures. So I have like a portion of me doing this quilt. This is not a difficult quilt to do. It's based off of a quilt by some lovely people whose names I don't know, who did something called a Good and Plenty, and I just took their quilt and altered it just a bit and made my own Dresden quilt. I don't know what I'm going to call this quilt, and all quilts have a name, but this one hasn't told me its name yet. Maybe you guys can name it. Name this quilt for me, guys, because it does not have a name. I finally know the recipient, but I don't have a name for this quilt. But I do want to show you guys how Dresdens are made because they're pretty freaking cool. Dresden is basically applique down. You make some blades, you put them together, you sew them 2 at a time. Then you grab another 2. And you keep sewing those together until you get 2 halves, sew those together, and then you stitch it down on a block. And that's basically your Dresdens. You can do some fun things with them and do them in strip sets, and you can play with it and make them twist and turn. So much fun. But this quilt has gotten a lot of love. It is quite striking. I put my flair on it, and I'm going to show you guys how I made it now. Stay tuned. Bye-bye. Okay, so I figured I was not gonna film me doing this Dresden quilt, but now I'm kind of like, maybe I will. So, I cut my strips, just a regular strip, to 13 inches. Then I took this ruler, which is a 22-degree Creative Grids ruler, and I moved it all the way up to 2. Can you see that? To 2 right here, and then the top goes up to 15, and then I cut both sides. Bam, bam. So 13-inch strip, cut this. I would cut it one way, then I would rotate it and cut it the other way. And now I'm getting ready to make these blades, and so I'm going to take you guys over to the sewing machine and show you how I make a Dresden blade. Okay. So I had run into an issue, so I need to make another Dresden plate, so that's why I'm shooting this video, just to show you guys how I do it. So that same piece of fabric, I'm going to fold it in half, like this, like so. And I'm just making sure that the points meet up here. And I am going to sew a 1/4 inch back stitching at the beginning. just to make sure that it's nice and snug. Then I'm going to cut my threads. Then here, why is it not focusing? What is happening here? There we go. Then I'm going to take this here and I am going to cut this corner. Can you guys see that? I know it's white on white thread, but I'm going to cut so that it turns easier. And I'm just going to cut just a little bit off like that. Then I am going to take this, and I should clip that thread too, but I'm going to open this up. I'm going to open up the seam right here. And just kind of press it with my finger and walk my little finger up because I want these seams pressed open. I'm going to put my finger here and I'm going to turn it inside out, just like that. Then I'm going to grab my purple thing, this tool, and I'm going to press out that tip so I get a nice point, trying not to poke all the way through. I have done that on several occasions. Then I am going to use something called a prairie pointer, and I'm just going to smooth this out and iron this down. This is the prairie pointer tool I was talking about. I'm going to shove this in here. Make sure that that line is on this line here, on this center line. And then I'm going to put my iron on it and then pull the metal out so that it doesn't get too hot. And I'm going to do that with all of these. I have 16 of them because it's a 22-inch degree ruler. All right, guys. So I'm putting the prairie pointer back in. I'm hitting it with that iron and then you pull it out. Be careful, that prairie pointer gets hot. It's metal and we're heating it up. Now I'm laying out all of my pointy blades. People do these all different kinds of ways. Rounded blades, straight blades, you pick. I like the pointed one for this project. And now you sew two together, press it open, and then do another two, and then do another two. Do not just sew them all together in one fell swoop. It will be a mess. So this is how you do it. You just sew a 1/4 inch seam right down the side. Nothing special, nothing major, nothing different, difficult. Just go straight down the side. Easy does it. I have a 1/4 inch foot on with my guard, of course, my magnetic guard. Don't worry if everything doesn't line up exactly. You're going to cover the center anyway. You want to try to make sure that the blade part lines up where the two meet on the sides. That can be noticeable, but other than that, easy peasy. So I go ahead and just sew 2 blades to 2 blades and then 4. Then I grabbed a huge piece of black and a huge piece of peach and ran a seam up the 2 of them. And then I took the fully sewn Dresden plate and I'm pinning it down in place. Even though it doesn't look even, I'm putting a circle over the center, so it really didn't matter. And then I use a blanket stitch, which stitches straight and then it goes over and grabs the plate. Stitches straight, goes over and grabs the plate. I don't worry about where it's going to start and stop too much. I am not a perfectionist in that way. I just want to make sure that this gets appliqued down nicely. And this quilt went together super fast with a 22-inch Dresden ruler because they're big plates. They're big. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. And there she is in all her glory. All right, guys. Talk with you later. Bye-bye.